Hello and welcome to the second part in our body system series. This time we're going to be talking about the cardiovascular system, and we'll be covering what blood is, the vessels, and the heart. When we're learning about the cardiovascular system, we should first know what blood is actually made out of. The first component is called plasma, and that consists of water, hormones, nutrients, and waste. There are also three cellular components of blood as well, and the first one are your erythrocytes or red blood cells. And these exchange oxygen and carbon dioxide with your body. The second type of cells are leukocytes, or your white blood cells. These are a part of your immune system. And the third type of cell are platelets. Platelets are important for clotting when you get a cut. Next, we're going to learn about the blood vessels. And we're going to take the perspective of a red blood cell that just got pumped from the heart. We start off in an artery, which will then split into branches called arterioles. It's important to know that within these two types of vessels, it's called arterial blood, and the blood is very bright red and oxygenated. Next, the arterioles will split again into a vessel called a capillary. The capillary is where the red blood cell trades oxygen for carbon dioxide. The capillaries will converge into a larger vessel called a venule, which will converge again into an even larger tube called a vein. Now, there's an important distinction between arterial blood and venous blood. Venous blood already lost its oxygen, so it's deoxygenated. And it has a darker, more purple red appearance compared to arterial blood. And then after veins, it's back to the heart to get pumped again into the artery. And then the cycle repeats. So now we're going to talk about the heart itself, which is a muscular organ that pushes blood through those vessels we talked about before. And we're going to start with the layers of the heart. The most outer layer is called the pericardium. And a good way to remember that is that peri itself means around, and cardio or cardium means heart. So pericardium means around the heart. The second middle layer is called the myocardium, and it's a thick muscle. Myo itself means muscle, so myocardium means muscle of the heart. The third most inner layer is called the endocardium, which means inner heart. This lines the chambers. And next we're going to talk about the anatomy of the heart. So now we're going to talk about the anatomy of the heart. And this looks like quite a lot, but we're going to walk through each part step by step. We start off with the upper chambers, which are called the atria. And then the lower chambers are called ventricles. These are split in half between the right side and the left side. Now, when you're looking at a diagram of a heart, it's important to note that you're looking at a mirror. That's why the right is on the left side of the diagram and the left is on the right. Now, we're going to talk about the great veins next, the vena cava. The superior vena cava receives deoxygenated blood from the upper part of the body, while the inferior vena cava receives it from the lower. Next, we have the aorta, which is the largest artery in the entire body, and it delivers oxygenated blood everywhere. Now we're going to talk about the valves. The valve on the right side is called the tricuspid valve. It separates the right atrium and the right ventricle. While on the left side of the heart, it's called the bicuspid or mitral valve. So a good way to remember this is try before you buy. That's how you remember what comes first and last. And next we have the pulmonary and aortic artery. Oh, sorry, not arteries, valves. And this separates the ventricles from other blood vessels. So for example, the pulmonary valve separates the right ventricle from the pulmonary artery, while the aortic valve separates the left ventricle from the aorta. That's how you would remember this part. Just know what it's attached to. The final two we have are the pulmonary artery and veins. So this essentially is what connects the heart to the lungs, but they're not in bold because they're not included on the slides. But everything that is bolded was on the slides, just so you know. Next, we're going to track the blood flow. So now we're going to track the blood flow of the heart, now that we know its parts. We start at the vena cava, inferior and superior, which both lead blood into the right atrium. The right atrium pushes blood into the right ventricle, and then that pumps blood throughout the pulmonary arteries, which go to the lungs. After the lungs, the blood is now oxygenated. So everything you see in blue is deoxygenated blood. But let's continue. After the pulmonary veins, that all leads into the left atrium, which will be pumped into the left ventricle, and then this pushes it into the aorta. The aorta will push the oxygenated blood throughout the entire body system, and then the cycle will repeat. So there's one last thing to know about the heart, and that's called heart action. This is what we use to measure blood pressure. The first part is when the chambers fill up with blood, and this is called diastole. It's essentially when the heart muscle is relaxed and it's the lower pressure. The second part is called systole, and that's when the muscles of the heart contract to eject blood. This covers the cardiovascular system. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll be making a third video very soon as well. Make sure if you have any questions, leave it in the comments, and I'll be sure to answer it. Best of luck with everything.